ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದಿನ ಫ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಟಿನ ವೇದಿಕೆಗೆ ಬರಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. He's Mr. Gowtham, Deputy Director, Planning. ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. Put your hands together to welcome Mr. Gowtham on stage. Mr. Gowtham, as I already told you, Deputy Director ICPM at Ramaya University of Applied Science. He's involved in developing international collaborations for the university. Prior to this, he has worked in the field of telecom finance and consumer durables. Engineer with a management degree, he will be talking today about opportunities for sustainable solutions. ಇದೊಂದು ರೀತಿ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿದೆ. ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿ, ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಓವರ್ ಟು ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಗೌತಮ್. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
One more time please, louder. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you. ಯೂಶಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಊಟದ ಮೊದಲು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಕೇಳೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನನ್ನ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೋಪ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ನಾನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಮುಗಿಸೋ ಮೊದಲು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವು ಜನ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ಸ್ ಬಂದು ತುಂಬಾ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದೇ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಸ್ಪೋಕನ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಅಪ್. ಬಟ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಸೇಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನಾವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ನಿಂತಿರುವಾಗ ಕೆಲವು ಪೇರೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಸರ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಸರ್? ನನಗೆ ಜಾಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ವಿ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಸೇ ಇಸ್, ನೀವು ಸ್ಕೋಪ್ ಜಾಬ್ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ರಾದರ್ ದನ್ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್, ನೀವು ಯಾವ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ತಗೋತೀರಾ ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಐ ಗೆಟ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ಲೇಟರ್. ಈಗ ನೀವು ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಮೊದಲು ಯಾವ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೀವು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಟು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ದಿಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್, ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಫೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಲುಕ್ ಅಟ್ ವಾಟ್ ದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಫೇಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್. At present, our global population is at around 7.32 billion, and most probably by 2030 we will be at 8.4 billion. Adralli ಎಷ್ಟು zero ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಂಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಕೂಡ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ ಇದೆ. The next slide please. Keeping this in mind, ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಒನ್, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಡ್ರಿಂಕಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್ ಏನು, ನಮಗೆ whether we are able to actually sustain the rate of development along with the environmental factors. Third one ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, terrorism is one of the paths that we are actually facing. Fourth, whether we can actually manage the communication. So these are just some of the aspects which are actually going to define the growing field in the future. Now when you actually come back to India, apart from these, there are some problems which are very, very specific to India. The current population is 1.28 billion, and we are actually looking at a ratio of 943 females to 1000 males. Of course, this has got led to a different kind of a problem. But other bitre, we also have a problem of population density. If you actually look at Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh, they have got the highest population density. Now, this will actually give rise to some of the other problems. You are actually looking at, one of them is water source. 96% of the urban population in India have got access to clean water, whereas only 54% have got access to sanitation in India. In case of rural, it actually goes to 84% and 21%. The worst part is India ranks or one of the lowest in terms of sanitation availability, even when I compare it to any of the African countries. Now, the second most important factor is current or electricity. We started with approximately around 1300 megawatts in 1947, and today we are at 261,000 megawatts. You go to the next slide. After that, we have got the healthcare, again a major factor which is going to decide the growing field. This might be a little bit ironic that I am sitting in a stage where we are talking of education, and I am saying that higher education is also a problem in India. We'll go to the next. So, if I actually club all this together, some of the major challenges that we have in India is, one is overpopulation. Now, overpopulation will lead to pollution, it will lead to traffic, it will lead to shortage of drinking water as well as food. There is poverty, there is land degradation, there is organic food, there is automation in agriculture, affordable healthcare, energy demand, And then we have got problem of as well as urbanization. Some of the other challenges which I will not actually get into is religious violence, national security, national disaster, government policies as well as unethical marketing. I'll go to the next. Now, what is very crucial is how do we actually tackle this and find solutions which are very, very sustainable. Now, when we are talking of sustainability, we are actually talking of three important aspects. One is environmental sustainability, the second one is social sustainability, and the third one is economic sustainability. When you are talking of environmental sustainability ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ನಮಗೆ ರಿಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಬೇಕು, ನಮಗೆ ಫುಡ್ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ನಮಗೆ ನೀರು ಬೇಕು. But then if I start taking all the ground water, where am I actually going to get fresh water for the next generation? When you are talking of economic sustainability, I have to run a particular industry. Say for example, I have to run an industry. Am I able to actually run it by making profit for the next generation? Social sustainability ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? I have come up with a new scheme. ನಮ್ಮ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸತಿ ಏನೋ ಹೊಸ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ತರುತ್ತೆ. But will that lead to a cohesive social environment or will that be a disruptive environment? We'll go to next. Now these problems actually give rise to opportunities. When you are talking about the opportunities ಯಾವ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. Second one is sanitation. The third one is security. Fourth one is shelter technologies, solid waste management, textile and clothing technologies, green energy, education, healthcare, road transport, building and communication, and finally the mass transportation system. Now when it comes to clean water technology, we are looking at some of the technologies which are into nanotechnology in filtration, membrane chemistry, seawater desalination, wastewater processing, mobile recycling facility, and underwater resources. Now which field actually tackles these? ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಇರೋದು ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ವಾಟರ್. ಸೊ ಎನಿ ಐಡಿಯಾ ವಿಚ್ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಟ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಸ್ ದಿಸ್? This basically is a civil engineer. So if someone is actually willing to take up civil engineering and if they ask what is my scope, this is where the scope is. The future is going to be a fight for clean water and that is where the civil engineer comes in. Next one is sanitation. Beginning slide on Matatarag, I just said that there are only 54% of people who have got access to improvised sanitation. So which field actually tackles sanitation? Any answers? It is again the civil engineer who is actually going to answer the sanitation, which means civil engineering scope tumba jaasti ide. Next, we are talking of safe, secure and healthy food. So which field is actually going to look at the food? It will be the biotechnology, it will be the mechanical engineering, and it will be the chemical engineer. When I say that he is a chemical engineer, I don't literally mean that he is a chemical engineer, but from the field of chemistry. Shelter technologies, again, this is much more oriented towards your civil engineer. Solid waste management, this is a huge component. Prati dina yettudali BBMP avರಿಗೆ ಗಲಾಟೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. But then who actually sits and decides the solid waste management? It will be the civil engineer. Textiles and clothing. Now India has a population of approximately 1.3 billion. ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 4 ಸೆಟ್ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ತಗೋತೀವಿ, approximately 20 ಮೀಟರ್ ಬಟ್ಟೆ. So every year we are looking at approximately 25 billion meters of cloth, and there has to be someone who can design a better cloth which can be recyclable. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಳೆ ಬಟ್ಟೆ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ನಾವು actually end up throwing it. ಕೆಲವರು ಅದನ್ನ ಮನೆ ಒಡ್ಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ, and after that finally it has to end up in a dustbin or in a sewage treatment plant. Okay, so textile engineer also has got a scope. The other one is green energy technologies. Beligedre Modi will start saying that no, we want green energy technologies. We are looking at solar energy. We are looking at renewable energy. So who is actually going to address this? This will be from your electrical engineer, this will be your mechanical engineer, this will be your computer engineer, as well as your chemical engineer. Education technology is something quite different. Now, when we are looking at education technology, there is a difference in the way education was delivered probably around 20 years back and what is happening now. Recently, I started seeing an ad in the TV. Now that was for a company called as Biju or Biju, I'm not very sure what it's called as. They started delivering courses through the net, through fuse. Now, who would have thought that, yes, it is the internet or it is a net that is actually going to come and play a disruptive factor in terms of education. These are going to change. There is also something called as MOOCs, massive online courses. All these are based on digital technology. So when you're talking of teaching, then who actually comes into play? It will be your computer engineer, or it will be a computer science student, or who else? The other main person or the source is basically someone who is actually having a camera who actually has to do it, who has to record it. This is one of the most crucial factors, that is a healthcare technology. Now when you are talking of healthcare, the field that you are talking of is pharmacy. What else? It will be pharmacy, it will be electronics, it will be computers, and it will be for pharma or electrical for healthcare. Someone will sit and design a machine, or say for example a CT scanner. Now that requires your electrical engineer. Now when you have got a CT scan, someone has to process it, that requires your computer engineer. So the scope for these students are in these sectors. We'll go to next. This is one of the most crucial. Now we call it as BRTC, or Buildings, Road, Transport and Communication. Building ಏನೋ ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿ ಆಯ್ತು. But then how do you actually come to that building? You want a road. Fine, we have got a road. After that, what do we want? We want a proper transportation facility. Bus illa. You got a bus, or new car ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ. Once you have got a car, then what will happen? There will be a congestion on the road. So you want a proper transportation system. Fine, building ಆಯ್ತು, car ಆಯ್ತು, ನಿಮ್ಮ bus ಆಯ್ತು. After that, next ಏನು? ಒಂದು city develop ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, you require communication. All these four factors are very, very important. Now, you might be surprised that building, road and transportation, they actually come under civil engineer. He is the one who will actually sit and design the roads and buildings. We'll go to next. This is again a mass transportation system. This is very crucial. Probably whenever we talk of engineering or whenever we talk of higher education, no one really bothers about agriculture. One of the most crucial. ಟಿವಿ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಬದುಕಬಹುದು, ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಬದುಕಬಹುದು, ಫೋನ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಬದುಕಬಹುದು, ಊಟ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಯಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬದುಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನೋ ಐಡಿಯಾ, ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜೀಸ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ, ವೆರಿ ಕ್ರೂಷಿಯಲ್. ಬಟ್ what we are looking at is a better way of growing food, or a better way of, or an efficient way of actually growing food. So when you are talking of agricultural technologies, next. When you are talking of agriculture, who are the people who actually come into play? Your biotech engineer, or someone from the biotechnology background, or from the, not or, and from the mechanical engineering background, and the third one is the chemical engineer. So these are three very, very important people who are actually going to play a role in defining how the food industry is actually going to work. Advanced materials. People will keep talking of, spacecraft, people will talk of aeroplanes, people will talk of lot many things. But what is very important is advanced materials. ನಮ್ಮ materials ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. How important they are in building these structures. We want to build a house. If you actually start looking at the house that was built probably around 30 years back and the house that is being built now, there is a huge difference. And that difference is because the kind of materials that have been used in building that house. ನಿಮ್ಮ cement ಇಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು everything actually changes. So probably one of the people who will be actually involved in material engineering is a mechanical engineer or a civil engineer. We'll go to next. Genomes, drug development and drug delivery, one of the most crucial subjects, and this actually takes students from pharma industry. So pharma is one of the most growing or very, very important aspect of our education system. Biomedical devices. ನೀವು ಹೋದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಯಾವುದೋ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಒಂದು ECG ಒಂದು ಅಂಟಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ECG ತೆಗಿತಾರೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಎಕ್ಸ್ರೇ ಮೆಷಿನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. So who are the people who are behind these biomedical devices? It will be from your pharma industry, it will be from your medical, and it will be from your electrical and electronics. Big data management is again basically computers. Machine learning and intelligence system, again it is from computers. So this is going to be a future. Internet of Things. Now this is something strange. The moment I say Internet of Things, what exactly is Internet of Things? Tumba jana maatartare, but does anyone really have an idea of what exactly is the Internet of Things? Recently there was an ad for an air conditioner which said, you officer ಕೂತು air conditioner ಅನ್ನು switch on ಅಥವಾ switch off ಮಾಡಬಹುದು and you can control the air conditioner. So basically what they are trying to do is, whatever the daily items that you have, they are trying to connect it to the internet from where you can control it from a remote location. Now when everything starts getting connected to the internet, the biggest problem will come in terms of cyber security. ನೀವು ಇಂಟರ್ನೆಟ್ಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತೀರಾ. How many of you have a smartphone here? How many of you are running antivirus in that smartphone? I think someone has to, right? Especially if you are doing internet banking, please ensure that you have an antivirus in your smartphone. Cyber security is a major play. Recently ಕೇಳಿರೋದು ಆಧಾರ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಇದ್ದು ಡೇಟಾ ಥೆಫ್ಟ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತೇಳಿ. Now to avoid all this, we require people who are very good in cyber security. Now again, the background for cyber security comes from computer science. Climatic disasters. Now this is not under our control. The only thing that we can do is we can actually manage once it has happened. Now this is a very common feature. Uttarakhand alaitu, Ladakh alaitu, the recent one. So who are the people who actually get behind this? It will be again your civil engineers, it will be your mechanical engineer, and it will be your electrical engineers. We'll go to the next. People keep talking a lot of things, but then one of the crucial items in any of the discovery is the tools which are used for discovering a new item. ಯಾರೋ ಒಂದು ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವ. ಆ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ what is the tool that he actually requires? He requires a microscope. Now there is someone who will actually sit and design and develop a microscope. I am just giving you an example. In the same way, for anything else, there are tools which are required to make a new discovery. We'll go to next. Aircraft, again, I did not actually talk much about aircraft. When you are talking of aircraft, you have people who are from material science, you have people who are from aeronautics, you have people who are from electrical, you have people who are from electronics, computers, and finally your automotive or your engine management guys. Advanced space engineers, even they are also the same thing. You have got electrical, you have got electronics, you have got mechanical, as well as computers. So these are just some of the fields that you need to keep in mind when you are actually going to select a course. Because what you select now can actually redefine your future for the next 20 or 30 years. And what you select now should be relevant to the next 20 or 30 years, which is very, very important. So please keep that in mind and then ensure that your child or you or anyone else actually ends up selecting the course. Right? So with this, I'll just close it. I think it's time for your lunch. And thank you very much.
Deputy Director Planning, Ramaya University of Applied Science. ನಮ್ಮದೊಂದು ಹೂಗುಚ್ಛ ನಮ್ಮ CEO ಅರುಣ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ವತಿಯಿಂದ ದಯಮಾಡಿ ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸಬೇಕು. ಟೋಕನ್ ಆಫ್ ಗ್ರಾಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಗೌತಮ್.